Hey guys, it's Amy at Beck, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for September 28th, 2025. So anyway, this week was a weird week for me. Work was pretty quiet, as in I listened to a lot of stuff at work, even though I did a lot of work. You know, it was a very quiet at the shop kind of thing. One of the days even nobody was there but me. So that was kind of weird. Monday was a weird day for me. But I did listen to a lot of audiobooks. I did read a lot of short things this week. And again, it's not because I was trying to bump my numbers or anything. I just had a lot of library books out, and I had a few things from KU I wanted to listen to before I discontinue that. Probably, I think I have to discontinue it by the 8th or 9th of October. So I was trying to get through some stuff there. I made some progress. And then I had a lot of stuff that I just went on kind of a different kick on audiobooks of some books that I had physically on my shelf that I wanted to get through, that I noticed that the audiobooks were free. So I got those. So it was a really weird reading week. I'm still dealing with my dental stuff. My dental procedure, again, is now over 3 weeks ago. I am able to chew on the good side. I'm still not really able to chew on the side that they did this time. I'm still having trouble. I get sore if I do chew too much. So I'm still leaning towards the more soft things, except today I am going to go get pizza. I've had it. I cannot go without pizza. And so my brother and I are going to go get some at lunchtime. And I'll have leftovers because I don't think I'll be able to eat too much of it, but I'm going to cut it up into little bits. Anyway, so as I said, I didn't really comment on it last week because it was the same. As I said, I'm not fully back. It'll be a couple more weeks before I'll be able to just eat normally. At this point, it's still a hassle, but we're making it through. So beyond that, I think that's it. I think that's enough. I've talked enough on that. As I said, this week was a really weird reading week. I read a lot of things, not long things, but I did read a lot. So let's talk about the books I did read, what I'm in the middle of, and what I think I'm going to read in the next week. So I did on Sunday finish the third book in the Snow White. Well, it was the Sleeping Beauty trilogy by Anne Rice. This is erotic fiction. This is Beauty's release. So again, I was rereading these. I read these about 20 years ago, maybe longer, and I lost my set because somebody borrowed it. And then I bought it a couple of years ago, and I was going to reread it when the new book, Beauty's Kingdom, had come out, and because I didn't remember much of it. So it was kind of fun to go back to these. These are very highly erotic, following Beauty, who is woken up from her curse, and instead of how some of the fairy tale versions go, she is taken by the prince who woke her to this kingdom that deals with masters and slaves of prince and princesses that are sent there. And it is a very interesting society, and it's just a fun ride. It's nothing major, very open to all different types of sexuality and stuff. It is just for the 80s. These were written in the 80s. So I think it was pretty good. Anyway, so I enjoyed my reread. It was just fun. It was a light read. And so I finished it. So I got that done. So that was, I don't want to say too much about it because it's book 3 in that first trilogy. And as I said, then she came back, 20 some years later, 30 years, I don't know, many years later, and wrote the another book, which I'll talk about later. Anyway, but that's one thing. I did pick up a manga series at the library. This is the first 3 of 5 volumes, I think, that are out so far. I don't know. I didn't really look into the series too much. I don't know. I'm going to get the 4th book for sure. And just see if I want to continue. But this is Monthly in the Garden with My Landlord. This is by Yodakawa. And this is kind of a weird story. So we're talking about someone in their 20s who is just broke up with her girlfriend, and she is kind of at loose ends, and she decides she is going to doesn't like where she's staying anymore. She's a manga editor, so she helps writers and stuff with their, I think it's manga, well, it's, at least an editor of some sort. And so she can pretty much live where she wants. And so she decides she wants to rent a house or something bigger than an apartment. She just wants to get out of the apartment where she was with her ex-girlfriend. And she has a lot of baggage, a lot of stuff in her past, and she finds this house that seems too good to be true. And it is kind of because she goes to rent it, but she has a landlord, and the landlord lives there as well. So it's pretty much she's getting a roommate, even though she wasn't planning on it. And it's them getting together, or like getting to know each other. And again, I read 3 volumes of it. So the landlord, she is an ex-idol, like J-pop kind of thing. And she is trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life kind of thing. So these were kind of cute and kind of sweet. And it's, again, they're growing, and then the people around them, and you know, it's sapphic, and it's cute. I like it so far. I will try the 4th one to see if I want to continue the series. I know there's at least 4 out. I keep thinking the 5th one was going to come out, or it comes out next year. I don't remember now, but it was a cute manga. And again, I know there's a lot of people doing 30 manga volumes or things in a month. I am not anywhere near that, but I did add to, I have at least, I'll probably get about 15 or so. I'll have to count when I get done with September. But I did read these 3, and they were fun. And again, I said, I got them from the library. I just found them on the shelf at the library, and I just took the 3 that they had, the first 3 in that series, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't, you know, super great, but I enjoyed it, if that makes any sense. I then picked up, I saw that this was there too when I was at the library last week, and it's Heaven's Official's Blessing, but this is the first volume of the manhwa. So I guess this is manhwa. So anyway, this is done by Mo Chien Chung Shu, I think. I had the book, such a pretty book, and I got rid of it because the first couple chapters made absolutely no sense to me, and it was kind of outrageous and kind of crazy. But I've heard so many good things about this series from other people, and again, it's talking about kind of a god who has been sent to heaven and then sent back. He keeps making mistakes of some sort, and his base of people who worship him keeps changing, and so he is sent kind of down to on this mission. And this one, I read the first volume. It is really a pretty art style, but it's so dark. So it was, I mean, not dark as in hard, bad kind of thing, but just dark, like it's hard to see some things. I wish they had, I mean, some of it you can see really well, but then it'd get like really dark, and it was kind of hard to see some of the pictures. I think they should have brightened it up just a tad, but it was really good. Unfortunately, my library only has volume 1, and I think there are at least 3 out right now. So, but I don't really want, I did go with some book shopping yesterday. We won't talk about that. Anyway, but I did go to Powell's just to look to see if they had it, and they didn't have it because I might have bought it because I had credit, but I don't know. I liked this. So what I've done is I've actually asked for the novel, the light novel version that I had owned that I got rid of. And I'm gonna try to read it physically again and see, and maybe I'll just get it through the library. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting story. As I said, the beginning kind of is hard to get into, but once we got into the mystery of him going to this mountain area where women are being stolen, who are going to be brides to somebody, and their entourage is attacked, and then the women are stolen. And it's kind of an interesting take. There's some kind of weird paranormal-ish element, and I want to see where it goes. So I'm gonna get the novel back from, again, this time through the library, and we'll see. I might get to it, who knows? But I think it was really pretty. I kind of want to collect these, but they're really expensive, so I probably won't, but they were really pretty. So I read those kind of in the first couple days of the week, and I listened on audio on Monday. I finished Beautifully Cruel by J.T. Gessinger. So this is the book 1 in the Beautifully Cruel duet. So there's two duology. Anyway, it's connected with all of her other kind of mafia dark romances. So this one follows after the characters I read in Dangerous Beauty, which is the last trilogy that I read. So this is the next one. So again, I read a series that comes after all these the Queens and Monsters, which I really adored. And I'm going back now and reading some of the series that she's written that are kind of connected with the dark and the mafia kind of stuff. So this one is following Liam, who is in the Irish mob, and he is attracted to this. He sees this woman just in Boston. She's just going about her business, and he starts showing up every few weeks at her diner. She has a waitress there. She is going to school to be a lawyer. Her name is True, I believe. Anyway, and then things happen. Something happens to her, and then he is there to save her. And then they get kind of tangled. So it is very much very sexy times, mafia stuff, and not everything is what it seems. And so it was really cute. I think True was a main character I maybe didn't like as well as some of the other female characters in there. She still had a lot of grit. I still liked her for her push to do stuff and do her stuff her way. But sometimes there was a few things some of her quotes and things were kind of weird because she's from Texas, and it was just, some of them was just a little bit much for me. But other than that, I really liked this. And then I continued on to book 2 in that duology, Cruel Paradise, which follows Liam's brother, Killian. And he's a character who has been seen through other books, so it was really interesting to finally get his story. But I did not like this one as well as Beautifully Cruel. I liked the main female character in this one as well, which I can't think of her name right now. I read too many books. Anyway, but I did like her. I wanted more from this book than what I got. I thought the first book, they were both, I mean, they're not as outrageous and fun as I had fun with the Queens and Monsters series, but it was still a fun time. I still enjoyed them just like I did Dangerous Beauty. So they're still pretty good books. Like, I would say that they were like 3.75 to 4 stars. It was just enjoyment, and they weren't, again, they're mafia, they're dark, but they're not super dark. But they were fun. I enjoyed them. Anyway, so I did read those. So then a book that I started on Sunday and went to Tuesday as a buddy read with Tia at Genres and Journals. We have read every Ilona Andrews book, and the new book that had just come out, their independently published one, is The Inheritance, is the first book in the Breach Wars. So we read this over 3 days because it is about 260 pages. It's not very long. Yeah. So this one is more on the sci-fi fantasy kind of realm, where there are these dimension holes that kind of pop up in our world. It happened at one point, I think it was 10 years before this story takes place, and creatures from other dimensions are coming through, and they're attacking. And so the people around the world have groups of people who have suddenly gotten new power, like new kind of powers, in order to fight these breaches. And so they go through the gate of this one, and it is a disaster, and it's kind of the aftermath of what happens with that. And we're following Ada, who is one of these people who has a talent, and things just go battling, and it's her surviving within the gate when she's cut off from everybody else. You do get people from the outside, you see there. So it's the first book in a series. I'm looking forward to the next one. I think it was really fun. It's not the best. There were a few things I think that because this is independently published instead of traditionally published, there's a few things that were a little confusing that they could have explained a little bit better. But again, it was just fun. Like, I didn't hate this. I definitely loved it more than a lot of things that I've read. Again, it's a solid 4. I would definitely read on. I want to know what happens because of what happens at the end of this book. I mean, it wraps up good for a story, but you know that there's more. And I mean, they've said this is the first book. So as I said, they are very busy writing an epic fantasy series right now. One's coming out in I think the spring of next year. So I think they're working on those. And then this is going to be a series that they kind of work in between when they have some time. So I don't know when the next book will come out, but I think Tia and I both had a good time with this. It was just fun. And I'm glad we got to do our buddy read like always. And I really enjoyed this one overall. So I'm glad we got through that. So let's see here. What did and then, so Here's where a lot of little things I read. So again, as I said, I have Kindle Unlimited for a little bit longer. So I was trying to, as I said, I was going to try to read some more things off there this week. But what happened is the Scared Sexy collection done by Amazon and Audible came out. So there were ebooks and audiobooks that you could listen to for free if you had KU. I don't know if it was also Audible Plus. It doesn't matter. I did the audiobooks. So these are not in the order. I didn't read them in order, but like the first one was Hot for Slayer by Ali Hazelwood, then Falling by Christina Lauren, Spicy Little Curses by J.T. Geisinger. Sorry, I keep saying it wrong. Space Vampire by Ruby Dixon. What was it? Let's see here. My Boyfriends Are All Monsters by Kimberly Lemming. And then I hit the button. And then Beautiful Nightmare by Katie Roberts. So these were all short. Some of them were about 50, 55 pages. And the longest one was 94 pages when you looked at it in Kindle. And again, I listened to these on audio all on Tuesday while I was at work. I just went down the row. I actually listened to the J.T. Geisinger one first, the Spicy Little Curses, because again, I'm obsessed with her this year. I like this one. This one had to do with a reporter who is trying to find scary things in New Orleans before Halloween. And she goes to this tattoo artist who is supposedly there's some curse. And of course, things happen after she meets him. I then listened to Beautiful Nightmare by Katie Robert, because again, she's one of my, another author that I read everything, or that I'm trying to read all of her stuff. And this one was, she was, what do you call those? Like a succubus kind of thing that's supposed to scare people and then get fed by by doing that. But she's really bad at her job. And the guy that she is meant to go scare, things just go a different way. Now, again, these are all romances, like little sexy times with monsterish kind of things. I then listened to Falling by Christina Lauren. It was the first time I'd listened to anything by them. I really enjoyed this one. Just because it was a woman went to a Halloween party with her boyfriend who she's not really happy with because of certain, things with the relationship. And she's kind of on her own in the city. And she sees a guy that the other people don't know that are at the party. And she's kind of confused. Are you okay? Yeah. Anyway, so and then there's things, his past and stuff. I actually really liked that one. That was actually one of my favorites of the collection. I then listened to, this is going to freeze up, isn't it? Oh, of course it is. There it is. I then listened to Space Vampire by Ruby Dixon. I have read from her before. I did read the first book in the I Planet Barbarian series. So this one was about a woman who was on a space station. She had been kidnapped by aliens. So she's on this space station. She's been treated like a pet, which she does not appreciate. And something happens, an alarm goes off, all the aliens leave, and she is left there, but she is left with one of the clones that they have made, and he might have some vampiric, what do you want to say, details? No, I don't know what word I'm looking for. I can't think of the word right now. Why can't I think of that? Has characteristics of a vampire. Anyway. I then listened to My Boyfriends Are All Monsters by Kimberly Lemming, and that was fun. I really liked that one as well. But it's the one, which is funny because I remember really liking it, but I cannot for the life of me right now remember what happened. No idea. Wonder if it'll tell me like a little description and then it'll click. Okay. Sorry, I had to look it up. So this one is a woman goes on a hike with her boyfriend and his friends, and she always feels kind of left out. Something happens, and they keep going on the hike. They leave her behind because she is struggling, and she turns around and she sees this well in the middle of the forest, and so she tosses a coin in and makes kind of a wish. and then things happen from the god that hears her wish. And then the last one I listened to was the Allie Hazelwood one, Hot for Slayer. So this one was the longest of the collection. And this one is following a vampire and her journey through the years and her interactions with a slayer who is out to destroy her bloodline. And then there's an amnesia trope in here, which is kind of weird, but it was fine. It was fine. It was probably, I would say probably my least favorite of the collection, but it was still good. Like, I still enjoyed all these. I gave them all like 3.5 to 4 stars. It just, they were all fine. And again, as I said, they're really quick and easy reads. So I think that's probably why I just did them all that day at work. And it was just easy to listen to them all. And as I said, they were all part of the, I know that they're part of KU. I just don't remember if the reason I got to listen to them was because of KU or because of I'm with Audible Plus. So I don't know. Anyway, I listened to those and that was fun on that day. And then the next day I listened for a reread. I kind of woke up that day. I had another book I started the day before on the way home from work, and I could not listen to it that morning. And I struggled with what to come up with. And then halfway on the way to work, I thought, okay, I need to do a reread because I've listened to a lot in the last couple days that were all new. And the one that called to me was Archangel's Ascension by Nalini Singh, which is book 17 in the, I think it's 17. It's the newest one in the Guild Hunters series. So I listened to this when it came out back in March or April. I don't remember what month. May. It came out in May. So, okay, it wasn't that long ago, but I really enjoyed my reread. Again, Nalini Singh is one of my favorite authors to reread, and the Guild Hunter series and the Side Changing series are two of my favorite series of all time. So, of course, I reread these all the time. So, I did reread this one. I really enjoyed it again. I am so sad that the next book that comes out next year is going to be the last in the series, but I will reread these all the time. So, this was such a good one because it advances one of the love stories, and then it also explains the world as it's changed from the last book, because a lot of things happened to that one. So anyway, I really enjoyed that reread. Kitty, you're killing me. Anyway, so then after I finished that, I kind of again wanted to read something different. I had been reading a lot of dark romances. I was just in a weird kind of mood, and I didn't really feel like another paranormal-ish or urban fantasy like Archangel's Ascension. So I was like, well, what do I want to read? And I remembered that I had all these books I was going to read in August for Women in Translation that I never got to. And they're all those kind of healing fiction ones, some of them Japanese, some of them Korean lit, that I wanted to get to. And so I pulled a whole bunch off my shelf and tried to figure out which ones had audiobooks available right away from the library or were going to happen soon. So I got to listen to quite a few of those. So the first one I listened to was The Lantern of Lost Memories by Sonika Hagi. This was translated by Jesse Kirkwood. The audiobook was done by Hanako Footman. So this one was one of the magical realism ones kind of thing, where there is this little photography shop that has people who have died who go there, and then they have to pick out pictures from one for every year of their life. So the first one that comes in is an older woman who is 90 some years old. So she has 90 some pictures to find out, and she's lived a very interesting life. And so she has to pick them. But one of the pictures is slightly damaged, and it's because it's a memory that has been thought about a lot. And so it has them going back to that. And then we get a flashback to that time period where they would retake a photo of that time. And it's really interesting because it has her and this young man who is in the photography shop who go on this journey, but they have like little side conversations, and then we also get her life story. And then again, there's two other stories within this. So it's not quite short story like they all connect. And one of them was just heartbreaking. That was a hard one. The middle one. I'm pretty sure it was the middle one, or was the last one. I think it was maybe it was the last one. I can't remember, but it was heartbreaking. Anyway, I really enjoyed this. I don't think there's another one in this series that I saw, but I did enjoy this. It is an author I would read from again, but I did enjoy that. I then listened to The Healing Season of Pottery by Yeon Sumin. This was translated by Claire Richards. The audiobook was done by Jennifer Kim. So this one was much more a contemporary Korean novel where we're following a young woman who has, Jumin, I think is her name. She has like kind of a meltdown at work, and she was working in television, working a writer and for different things, and things just go wrong. And so she quits her job and she gets a new apartment in a different part of town, and she is kind of not sure what she's going to do. She only has so much savings, so she knows she's just taking a break from stuff. And then one day after hiding away for quite a few months, she decides she goes out one day and she sees this little shop. She thinks it's first a coffee shop, but it's actually a pottery shop where people learn to do pottery. And so she goes in and she gets to know the people there and starts to do pottery. And so it's the changes within that year after she does that. So it's almost a year in her life and the people that she meets and the changes that they go through as well as what she goes through. And so it was nice. I didn't, it's not a favorite. It was still, I think, mostly because, I felt sometimes she was a little, it was her personality I didn't get along with sometimes, not all the time. It was just certain things that she would say about her. It was mostly about herself though. It wasn't really about other people that bothered me. It was more how she looked at herself and how she looked at the world. And it was hard sometimes just because I was like, but I liked all the characters around it. I liked, how that helped her in her journey, and then where things ended up in the end. And again, it's really cute copy with the kitty on it. And I did like that one as well. And then I also listened to The Goodbye Cat by Hiro Arikawa. So this is the author of the Traveling Cat Chronicles. And so this one was translated by Philip Gabriel. So I read, that was one of the first of the kind of healing fiction kind of thing that I read that's kind of magical realism where you get the cat's perspective. So these are actually short stories. So I did not know that. I knew that, but I'd forgotten it. But there are, I think there's 6 or 7 stories. The last one does connect to the Traveling Cat Chronicles. So do not read that unless you've already read that book. That story, yeah, I think that story is the last one. Yeah. 7 cat stories. So some of them you get the cat perspective. So there, again, I said I would classify most of these under magical realism or have that kind of fantastical element. There's a couple that do not. So not all of them fall into that. The ones I liked, of course, the most were the ones that you kind of got the cat, because the Traveling Cat Chronicles was like that. The Goodbye Cat made me cry, as well as Finding Hachi. That one destroyed me, I have to say. And then again, I really liked the last story, which had to do with, which I can't remember the name of that last one. I don't know what the last one was called, but that one again has to do with the Life is Not Always Kind, I think. I think that's the name of that one. Oh, that one also got me, but not, I didn't cry so much. The other two got me quite a bit. So it's not one you want to read. I mean, again, it's about cats, and it's about people and their owners with their cats, and it's really sweet and in a lot of ways. It's funny in some ways, but oh my gosh, I cried a couple of times. So, and I was at work for once that I cried, and the other 2 were in my car. So, because I was driving to the library book sale that I went to this week. Yeah. And then driving home, and I did it again. Anyway, so, but I really like that. The audiobook was done by George Blayton. So, anyway, I really, as I said, this was really good. I would definitely recommend reading the Traveling Cat Chronicles first and just, be prepared for sadness and a little bit. But I loved all the stuff in, before that. And it was really good. I liked it. I really enjoyed that. So let's hear it. So, okay, then one last book that I finished that I can talk about, and I'll explain in a minute. But I did pick up the first book on my fall TBR. I'm gonna try to, and I said, intermix some horror and spooky reads that I just been putting off that have been sitting on my shelf. This one I bought last year, the year before, I can't remember. This is The Shadow Glass by Josh Winning. And I was pleasantly surprised by this. This one, I was kind of worried it would go in a way where I would be annoyed, because there were parts of it that did annoy me, but it was like really minor compared to a couple books where I've read where it's older people who, believed in something when they were younger, and then something happens when they're older, and it's like everything comes back to them as, what happened as kids really did happen. It wasn't their imagination. So this is a little different. This is following what's his name? Jack. Jack grew up with his father, who was a filmmaker. He made puppets and made a movie called The Shadow Glass, and it was like a cult phenomenon. So it didn't make the studio as much money in the beginning, but as the years went on, it became a cult classic. And Bob was very eccentric about this world and about the things he did with it, and he and his son had kind of a falling out when he was a teenager, dozen years after the film had come out, and so they did not have a good relationship. And then Bob has now passed away, and it's after his funeral, and Jack has gone back to his dad's house, which he hasn't been to in a really long time, and he has plans to sell parts of his father's collection, just because he's trying to get by, and he's kind of out of it. He's like, as I said, he's like in his, I don't remember if he's in his 30s, but he's not doing very well financially. And so, but he goes there and he meets one of the fans is there at the house, and then things go wrong. And quickly Jack realizes that what he thought was just his dad's imagination, there is actually some kind of magic to it. And he and this Toby, who is this young, this teenager who had come to the house, they get kind of caught up in this, the way the world is warping to bring to life the characters from the Shadow Glass movie. And it was just a fun ride. I really enjoyed it. The audiobook was done by Colin Mace. So it was really well done. There was only a few, like I said, I think Jack sometimes bothered me in the beginning because he really was kind of like out for himself and very much, did not like his dad and stuff. And you could totally see why. And I like the progression in the story of him coming to realize how much he didn't understand his dad, and he didn't understand the world that the Shadow Glass really was. I think it's called Eerie. And it was just a fun ride. And I think it was just kind of like, it was kind of popcorn read. I'm glad I finally read it. I'm still on the fence on if this one is a book I will keep the book or not, because I'm not sure I'll ever reread it, but I'm going to keep it for now just until I decide. But I really liked it. It was just fun. And, it didn't go the way I thought it would. So I guess that's why I liked about it. And, I did feel that the character had growth, which is what I had trouble with some other books that I've read where this kind of premise of something that happened when they were younger and then, and then they're older and now they're, denying that happened. But I don't know. I like the way that this one went. It was fun. So it was the first one on my fall TBR to get done, but I enjoyed that. That was really good. So those are the things that I finished. So I'm not going to talk too much about what I'm in the middle of. I'm just going to kind of flash them because this video is already long enough and I just, there's so much going on. So I am in the middle of welcome to the Hunam Dong Bookshop by Huang Bo Rim. I think that's how it said. This is translated by Shauna Tan. I'm listening to an audio by Rosa Kosoda. So I'm only about 88 pages in, so I'm about 30%. So this will be the first book audio I'll listen to on Monday to get through. I am enjoying it. I don't like this as well as some of the other, more of the cat books that I read earlier this week. But I do want to get through. This is another one that I meant to read in August that I did not get to. So I do want to, I'm going to finish listening to that one. So I'll talk more about that then. The other audiobook, I started, which is why I started rereading, because I read it, because I didn't feel like this, but I need to get this done in the next couple days because the audiobook is going back to the library. And that is Filthy Rich Vampires 3 Queens. So this is the third book in the Filthy Rich Vampires series by Geneva Lee. So as I said, I'm trying to get through this series because I just have so much fun with it. And but I have to be in the right mood for this because this is paranormal romance with vampires, and we're following Thea, who is a musician who meets Julian, who is a very old vampire, and they have an instant connection in the first book, but nobody wants them together. Nothing. And there's so many things that happened in the second book that I can't talk about that going into the third book. The books you really should be read closer together, but again, I have to wait for the library to on the Libby to get the audiobooks, and so it's taking me a little bit to get to the next one. But anyway, it's all drama. It's like dramatic, and it's just funny because they're vampires, and they just, their culture is, they're snobby in some ways of certain things, and again, she is human, and but with some interesting side things. There's some things going on. So anyway, as I said, I only got about 24 pages in, I think the end of Tuesday, and then I set it down, and then I started reading other things. So I do need to get back to this. So I will probably listen to that in the next couple days to get through that, because technically I already have book 4 on the hold list, and it's supposed to come in the next couple weeks. So I need to finish this one so I can continue when that one comes in. And then the 2 books that I'm in the middle of that I'd like to try to get through before the end of September, so that means I got 3 days, is I'd like to finish off the Sleeping Beauty series by Anne Rice. Beauty's Kingdom is the last book, and again, this came out many years after the other one. I still think it's like 30 years. Yeah, it came out in 2015, and the original books came out in 83, 84, and 85. So wow, she waited a long time to come back to this, but it's exactly the same kind of thing, and it's just, it's erotic, kind of, historical, fiction kind of thing, but it's just erotic. It's fun. Anyway, so I'm going to try to get through that. As I said, I only got to page 66 the other day, and so I do want to finish that, because I did have to read another book that, again, I did read one other book, but that's part of to finish my shelf by shelf video. So you'll see that video later this week. That's the video I'll probably release on the 1st. But so I did finish one more. And then I need to come back to Feast of Sparks by Sierra Simone. This is the second book in the Thornchapel series. I'm having trouble with this book, mostly because there's 2 timelines in this one, and we're seeing the present, which is where I really want to be reading this book, because these are 6 people who knew each other as children, and something weird happened when they were children, and now it is 12 years later, and they are back at Thornchapel all together, and they are all kind of having their sexual awakening of stuff with each other, which is, again, that's the fun part. But there's something mysterious going on with the place and with what their parents did back when they were kids, and the things that happened to them. Now, the problem is that this has a second timeline in this book, where we're looking at 2 of the characters who appeared to hate each other in the first book, and they do hate each other to a certain extent, but they also mostly hate themselves for something that happens, and we're going to see that, and I just don't want to see it. Like, I just want them to tell us what it was and then move it on. So I'm not sure. I'm going to try to get to this, so we'll see. I really like to finish that book because I want to move on. I'm hoping this is the only book that does that, but I'm having trouble with that. And then just really, really quickly, so I am going to probably start vlogging today, and what we're going to do is I'm going to have a vlog for the first couple of days, or the last days of September, and then maybe a couple of days for the first days of August. And then I just haven't decided how I want to split this up, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. So I'm not quite sure, but I want to do the Halloween weekend readathon done by Lexi at Books with Lexi, so that on the weekends I am reading more of my spooky books, And then the other days of the week, I am reading my Victober books. It's because those are the 2 videos I gave out last week is my 2 TBRs. And I want to get through a lot of the books, but I want to split things up. I want to make it so I'm not reading all Victorian literature and I'm not reading all spooky books because it won't work. I won't do it. So I thought I'd maybe try that. So we'll see how I do it. So my 2 Victober books that I will start on October 1st is I will start Hester by Margaret Oliphant, which is the group read for Victober. I'm really looking forward to this because I've had this for a while on my shelf. I have more books by her, so we're going to read 2 chapters a day. So I'm going to start out with this. I'm not sure I will get the audiobook for it. I'm going to start physically and see how it goes. If I have any trouble, then I will get an audiobook. I have a couple credits. So I will get one and then listen, to those 2 chapters every day. I'm going to do the group read style, at least at first, unless I get to a point where I just want to read, because that probably will happen. And I know this has to do with 2 women. One is an older, she's a businesswoman, like a banker. And then there's a younger, Hester who, I think they butt heads or something. So anyway, we will see how that goes. I also got the audiobook for Lilith by George MacDonald. So this is some kind of fantasy, and I don't know a huge amount of it. It was first published in 1895. So we're supposed to read, for one of the prompts is to read something that is, fantasy. And this has the deep purple that I had to get for one of the other prompts. So I am going to listen to this. I've heard really good things. A lot of people have told me that they really liked it. So I'm looking forward to this. I did read his Princess and the Goblin last year, but I DNF'd, I think it was last year. And then I DNF'd the second book because I just didn't care for that book, but I am going to try another one of his books. So those are the 2 Victober reads. I'm going to start on the 1st. And then at some point this week, I do have an audiobook for the next of the horror that I want to read. There are a couple other ones I have audiobooks for, but I'm going to do my Stephen King Joyland, because this is the book that's been the longest of all the books I pulled off for my fall TBR. This is the one that had been on my TBR the longest, because I bought this when this came out. And again, I said, I think I only tried to read it once, and it looks like I got to page 14. Maybe. This came out in 2013. Baby. No. He's going for the frog. Which I forgot I put Kingsley up there. Anyway, so this is about a woman who I think starts working at it's a guy, I guess, who works at See, you were mean. Okay, he took down Kingsley, so he's calm now. Anyway, damn it, sorry. So anyway, so this is a guy who works at a college student who goes to work at Joyland. And then there was a murder a while ago, I think, and then somehow he gets involved. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a Stephen King. It's one of his more crime ones, as I said, because this is one of the hard case crime ones. But I've had this for, as I said, since 2013. So I do want to try to get to that one. But I just got the audiobook from Libby, so I want to read that. And then on Saturday, I will start Big Little Spells by Hazel Beck, which is book 2 in the Witch Lore series with Berna at Burnish Bookish Adventures. We will continue our reading of this series. We'll see how it goes in this one, if we'll continue past here. But we are definitely going to read this one. It's following 2 other characters that were introduced in the first book. One is the sister of the main character, and then one of the kind of interesting characters that you meet in the first book, small town, big magic. So I do like this is definitely on the paranormal urban fantasy side with this. Well, it's a small little river town, and there are a lot of witches. So we ended on a cliffhanger. So I'm curious to see where this one starts, because we are changing perspectives. So we will see. Hopefully this will go a little better than the last one, but we will see. So anyway, sorry, that is everything. I probably will also pick other stuff up. I have some other audiobooks that have come through that from Libby that I also want to get to. So we'll see how it goes. As I said, I don't know. I'm going to try to vlog. We'll see how I do that. I think I just need to think how I'm going to put all my videos together. I kind of want to go back to vlogging just because, again, this week I read so much and it's kind of hard coming back, even though a couple days later, to talk about what I read, because I read so many little things. And I moved Kingsley. I don't know what he's doing up there. There's nothing there with the books. Anyway, but that's it. That's it for this week. As I said, I got a lot done. I'm gonna go to the library and pick up some more books, which is bad for me, but I'll take back the ones I have read here that are not mine. And then we will see what we get done this week. As I said, I want to try to get as much stuff done by the end of September so that when October hits, I'm ready to go with Victober and a lot of my spooky reads. And as I said, we'll see how it all goes. So anyway, you'll probably see the first vlog probably closer to the end of the week, because my shelf by shelf I think will go up on Wednesday. Because that took me forever to get done. So anyway, I will let me know what you guys are reading. Are you excited for October? Are you reading anything good? As I said, I did go book shopping yesterday. It was the first time. I'd gone to a library book sale on Thursday. I did buy a few books. And then yesterday I just cracked. It'd been over a month and I went out and bought some books. But I used credit for everything. I just had to pay about $15, $16 for when I had to pay half, for the credit. Anyway, half credit, half not. So really, I did pretty good because I didn't spend money, but I brought a lot of books into my house, which I was trying not to do. Oh well. Anyway, I guess I will see you guys later. Bye.